Welcome back, everybody. Well, the trusses came when they said they would come. Garage trusses, they came in correct, but the house trusses come in about 18 inches too short. I'll sort of show you here what I'm talking about. Let's just imagine this is the front of the house, but I've got a 9-foot wall. Now the garage, the walls on the garage are 16 feet tall, so I didn't want the garage to dwarf the house. So basically what I've done with my trusses, the trusses will go, basically the pitch will go from front back to the back. But I had them build onto my trusses. I extended this wall on up. That way it makes the house appear taller, bigger. But I wanted to keep a 9-foot ceiling, and that way it doesn't look so small against the garage. So I will have a porch that goes around 3 sides of the house. So from the porch, I've got the front elevation at 8 feet. And then I'll have a couple foot of rise from the end of the porch up to the house. And then I wanted 2 foot beyond that on up to my fascia where my roof line would be. So what's happened is that elevation from the top of the wall up to where the slope of the truss comes down, I've missed it about 18 inches. I'll show you the truss over here and show you what I'm talking about. All right, so what'll happen is this truss will set flush with my framing, and then it's going to extend basically the height of the elevation of the front of the house. So what's happened is it should have been 4 feet basically out here to where that 90-degree angle is with my rafter tail, but it's 4 feet from here basically to the heel. So that's created about an 18-inch shortage. So instead of the bottom of the rafter ending here, it needed to come on out to about right here. But it is what it is. Well, it's a little aggravating when stuff like this happens, but that's what you call building a house. And hey, I figure there's a lot bigger problems in the world to worry about than trusses coming up a little bit short, but we'll get it figured out. It's I talked to the lumber company I bought them through, and then since then I've talked to the truss company, to their designer, and so we're working on a resolve to get it figured out. But I started this video at the end of last week, since nothing was going to be going on around the house here. I've got a property a couple counties over and had a little project to work on over there. So I filmed that process this weekend, so I'll show you some of that footage on building a little serving table, doing a little yard mowing, and having a little fun. All right, one trailer loaded. You gonna ride right there, Reed? Joking aside, he would probably. I'm sure I forgot something. All right, here's the project at hand. We've got a 40-foot pavilion, and I built probably a year ago these little buffet tables. That way when you have functions over here, you can set your stuff on, but I built them on a French cleat system. So my intentions were we would use them, just lift them off and take them up there and put them in the garage, but we forgot them. So you're on the river bottom, moisture, and that was just out of interior grade plywood, so you can see they didn't fare too well. So we're going to replace it with some treated stuff. But before we start work, you want to do a little fishing? We're going to see if we can get a smallmouth to bite. Woo, baby! She's a little on the cool side, boys. What do you think, Reed? Is it cool? Is it warm? Well, good. Just don't hook me in the head there, boy.
Oh, Daddy, I had something.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Finally got a little action here. A little small now. Fish you caught, Reed? You caught two?
But they got off.
They got off, okay. What about you, Brantley?
I caught one and had 2 more on.
1 and 2 got off. He asked me if them 2 counted, and I told him that's about like in baseball, hitting a foul ball. They don't count.
He just said you had to get them out of the water and they jumped out of the water.
You gotta land them. Jumping out don't count. Ain't that right, Reed?
Yes.
Well, let's go start the graveyard shift. Well, that transit, I just went through there and marked a level line on each post, and then I'll come back and set the height I want, but I've got a level line to reference off of. That way I ain't got to worry about leveling each plank as I put them up. We can reference off that line, we'll be good to go. I built this little jig back, I don't know, a few months ago, but I've set it up for my circular saw. If you don't have one, they prove to be pretty handy. The luxury of it is you don't have to make a mark. Just bring it over to whatever your measurement is. And my little fence comes out and it's zeroed to my saw. So all I gotta do is run it down my fence and I've got the measurement I want. Well, when you work by yourself, you gotta improvise sometimes because you ain't got an extra set of hands to hold the other end of the board. So, like in this case, I've referenced where I want the top to be, and then I've referenced where I want the bottom of my stringer to be. So I've got a reference mark here. So all I'll do, come down and reference that line, and then I can square right against it with my clamp, tighten her up. It's on my line. We're ready to set it up there and screw it. Well, I got both of my headers, if you want to call it that, down both sides of the post. But I'm going to give you a recommendation. If you've never used them, I'm using a 3-inch anchor screw that's approved for treated wood. But here's the brand of them. They're Spax. But they've got a big head on them. And, you know, it says no pre-drilling. And I typically, when I'm screwing into this stuff, I'll use a pre-drill whatever I'm going through, and that way you can screw it in and it'll pull it up tight. But I didn't drill a hole, and those pulled up really nice, but got a big enough head to hold. But I'd put my stamp of approval on the old Spax anchor screws. All right, I got a little change of plans. What I was gonna do is every 2 feet, I was gonna cut a 2x4, and I was gonna notch it up and notch it up towards slip down over my, we'll call them headers. That way to tie everything in together, make it really strong. And I got to thinking that's gonna be a whole lot of notching. And all I'm holding up down through there's gonna be some hot dogs, hamburgers, and some ketchup. I don't think I need to go that strong, and it'll save a bunch of time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn them that way, and we'll screw them in. And then we'll come in here and lay a treated plank across the top of these, and we'll make us a table go all the way through. So change the plans, and I think it'll be plenty sufficient. It'll speed up the process a whole lot. end of night one. I'm probably 3/4 of the way done with it, so we'll finish it up tomorrow, but after that, we'll have a place to set our crock pots. Well, Kristen, are you trying to get you a bobsled team put together?
I think so. We're going to be ready for the next Winter Olympics.
All right, I'm going to get to work. Well, if you're asking the question, Travis, why didn't you show us the finished product? It wasn't that I was ashamed of the work. It's the fact that the memory card decided to go unreadable after I took it out of the camera and plugged it in the computer. So I lost a lot of the footage from this weekend. So I've come to the determination that I don't need to be walking outside in a lightning storm, because the way my luck's going here lately, I don't believe the results would end up too good for me. But I will tell you, there's something positive that has happened. As I said earlier, the trusses for the garage came in correct. So I got a text early this morning. Contractor called me and he said, "Hey Travis, we've got some time today. We're gonna come on out there and stick the trusses on the garage and we'll try to get it sheathed today." So I'll stick you a little footage of them boys putting this on. Well, now you can probably tell why I want to elevate the roof line on the house so it don't get dwarfed by that garage. Those guys showed up this morning, put the trusses on it, got everything framed in. I've already got the zip system on the roof and got her taped in, so we'll call that progress. Well, this video's been all over the place, but there's an old subpar YouTuber out there that always puts on the end of his videos, "You'll never do unless you try." So we're gonna keep trying, but we'll get there. But hey, if you watch this one, I appreciate it, and hey, we'll see you later.